Our next speaker is Richard Serby, who is also a GeoSearch and also came from Colorado to come talk to us about how to develop your leadership for mapping positions.
Now, how do I get to my thing here?
Oh, yeah, you can't see it in here. On here. This function. Okay, then Control Tab or something. I think it's going to say. I think it's going to sleep. There we go. Okay, so I think you have to rotate to it 3 times. So it's already open. It's just behind mine.
Oh.
So maybe if we can escape. Yeah, and then his is right, I think there.
And the last one there. Yep. There you go.
Presentation. Is that what you use? Presentation, or you just do it in slides?
Like this one. And then do I use this to advance them?
I don't know. They didn't tell me to learn that. You could always try it. If not,
okay, here we go. You're up then.
But if not, hit enter.
And I can just use an arrow. Well, good morning. My name is Richard Serby. I am the founder and CEO and president and head custodian of GeoSearch. We are not very big. There are only 3 of us who are employees, and we are in our 28th year, at least I am. And Jessica's my daughter, and she has been with me about 20 years. And so we do serve the geospatial community. It was a decision that I made 28 years ago when invited by a local mapping company to assist them in finding photogrammetrists and also this new thing called GIS. And at that time there were no training programs. They were just going from Mylar and ink into the computer age. And so we were looking for basically computer scientists, IT people who had an interest in geography. So we were successful in cobbling that together in the early days. And then, of course, geography departments wised up and began to introduce computer technologies in geography programs, environmental science programs, and so forth. So now the chances, the ability to be trained in GIS in all aspects are they're terrific right now, certainly as compared to a number of years ago. What I'd like to discuss today is the emerging leader. As Jessica pointed out, we're a member of an organization called MAPS. And MAPS is primarily an organization that serves the commercial services sector of the profession. And their overall concern is to remind the federal government specifically that there are laws and there are rules with regard to what the federal government is able to do internally and what the federal government needs to bid out to the commercial sector. And for very good reason, because oftentimes the federal government is involved with projects that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But the department that they created never goes away. So what the intent is to make things more efficient, more cost-effective in terms of how we're handling projects by the private sector for the benefit of the federal government agency. So, and then when that project is over, then that payroll goes away. So that's really the intent. to be able to have our private sector companies not have to compete with government agencies, because that's just not a fair playing field at all. So that's really what the organization is all about. And we have recently, within that organization, we have, over the last 2 years, a group of us have created a emerging leadership program or curriculum. And that is still in development and always will be in development. But what we're interested in, and what we've asked company owners and the executive management of private companies, is to bring with them the talent that they have within their organization to our meetings, to encourage them to stay with the company, and to provide a way for individuals to grow within the company into leadership responsibilities. And so when we look at, would I be interested in becoming a leader, perhaps by title, in terms of being a manager, of being a technical supervisor, of being a project manager, those kinds of titles, is that of interest to me? And it's a really important question to ask yourself, because if you are that person who loves to be at their workstation, and they love the big screens, and they love what they're doing with that information and creating beautiful images that are also very useful for North Carolina, or for a city, or for a county, for the state, or for other applications. And that's the kind of work that you really love to do, and you would miss it if you didn't get to have a chance to do that every day, then don't change. Don't mess up a good thing. There may be a time in the future of your career where an opportunity to have more influence on the overall organization is presented to you. But certainly hang on to that part of the day-to-day experiences that you have, that you really love and that you really enjoy doing. It's a whole lot more important after the 30 or 40 years that you're going to be in harness in your career, that you be able to look back at that career and said, I made a good decision and I really enjoyed what I did. And that's something that I would encourage my own children and my own grandchildren to do, is to look at your career as being something it's an essential part of your life, and therefore making sure that you enjoy what you do is the most critical and the most essential thing. The questions that come up are, leaders of organizations, are they born, or can those leadership skills be developed? And so these are the kinds of questions that we ask those folks that attend our classes. What is your leadership style? How is it you are most comfortable operating day to day in a leadership role? And are you able to, or do you have the willingness to change leadership style depending on the circumstances that you're in? In some circumstances, a participative leadership style is very useful. You're comfortable working with teams of people. You're comfortable in having discussions about topics that are important to the organization, and you're comfortable trying to reach a consensus with the group in terms of the direction we ought to take for the value of the organization and the rest of the company. There are other times when you need to be somewhat autocratic, because the choices are, we either are or we're not. And here are the reasons we're going to move forward with something, and we really have no other choice in the matter. So follow me, and we're going to get this done. And so there are times when that kind of a style is just the only option that you've got. So understanding how you're put together understanding how you fit in terms of the style that you have, that you bring to the table, that's just a part of your personality, is an important thing to understand. Now, that's readily available online. All you have to do is, do a search on leadership styles tests, and you'll be able to find a number of things where right online in 20 or 30 minutes you can get at least an initial profile of the leadership style that you probably have. Are you prepared to be viewed differently by workplace friends? So you are at your workstation, you're comfortable, you're enjoying your work, and an owner or a supervisor comes to you and say, we would like you to become the technical lead on a particular project. And as a part of being that technical lead, you're going to be assigned staff members to work with you. But you're the person in the lead of that team. Well, in some cases, that may be a very comfortable move. Perhaps you're already regarded by your peers as you are sort of the leader among us. Even though you don't have that title, we still look to you for guidance, for advice, help me problem solve something. And so it's a kind of a natural progression for you to have the title as well as a result of that. Or perhaps you could be in a situation where you are now viewed as, now you're one of them. You're one of those manager types. You're the one in the suit and tie and the one that goes on airplanes a lot. And we see that person here occasionally, but we don't have a lot of interaction with that person. So you've joined them. And that is true whether you're a private organization or whether you are in a government agency. If you are in a government agency, that track tends to be more transparent. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that typically you've earned your way into a situation where you've been one of the top performing technical people, and now you're being viewed as becoming one of the management team. And if that's the case, are you prepared that there will be some people that you've perhaps been pretty close to over the years who are not as willing to accept that new role for you? So are you prepared for that? Is accepting a formal leadership role, is that in your own best interest? And we talked about that right at the beginning. Or are you comfortable being the leader in the back of the room? That person who has the knowledge, the skills, the ability to communicate ideas, the person who is just seen to be, he or she is just sort of the leader among us. We go to her because she seems to know how to make sure that we get the answers that we need, so we don't have to go higher up the hierarchy. We can solve this within our own group, within our own team, within our own department, because she knows how to get the answers that we need. And so she didn't have that formal title, but it is just become an organic leadership role for that person. And what questions you have to ask yourself when you're presented a leadership opportunity? It's hard to turn those down. I mean, if you're presented that kind of an opportunity to advance into more of a leadership role, it's hard to say no, because what's actually happening is that you're being recognized as one of our best performers. You're being recognized as being something we would not want to lose you as a part of our team. And as a part of not losing you, we want to elevate you to a higher level of responsibility. Now, that higher level of responsibility comes with a price. That higher level of responsibility takes you away from the workstation, perhaps. And God, I just love doing this. I love doing this work. And now I'm being asked to do something else that's going to take me away from that. And now I'm in meetings instead of doing the tasks that I had normally been assigned to do. So you have to ask yourself those questions. Is that something that would be attractive to you? Be willing to have that discussion with those people who are entertaining the thought of advancing you into a leadership role. Now, I am going to just quickly go through some of the topics that we are covering within the leadership, the Emerging Leaders program through this organization called MAPS. Well, guess what comes up first? Business and organizational ethics. So I will be on the phone with Dr. DiBiase soon, so he can help us continue to develop the entire ethics profile. We've gone through one round, and ethics was a part of that. And what tended to happen in the ethics part of the curriculum is that we had business leaders talk about situations that they were in where there were some fuzzy gray areas in terms of the ethics of what they were doing. And so they were creating their own case studies based on their own personal experience. It was very valuable. But I think that what David was talking about in terms of actually having a plan, actually having a diagram, an outline of, okay, here are the steps that we follow to have this discussion. And at the end of, if we follow these steps and we're careful about it, at the end of the discussion, we'll have more confidence that we're making the right decision with regard to an ethical question. Risk mitigation. Now again, this is this happens within public organizations, it happens within private companies, and that is how much risk are you willing to take with regard to a particular project or a particular relationship with another company perhaps, so it doesn't end up ruining your business. And those have to do with the contractual arrangements many times. Contracts have to be written very precisely. There should be no question left unanswered with regard to contracts, because there's a lot of money involved in these deals, and also a lot of ways to ruin the relationship because of a misunderstanding of the contract. Insurance products, we are sometimes required by our clients to carry certain types of insurances because of the risk that someone that we may have helped place into a position, and now we have a problem with illegality or unethical behavior or something that causes our client harm. And that comes back to visit us because we participated in the hiring of that person. And then make sure that you've got a dandy lawyer at hand to make sure to keep you out of trouble. Business accounting, organizational forecasting. There is a key performance indicator thing out there that you can look up and just Google it. And it is a way, and this there are several companies that produce this kind of thing in terms of software products that can be used to do business and organizational forecasting with regard to what can we expect down the road. What kinds of things are going to happen for us or to us that we need to be aware of now. Business accounting. Certainly within the public agency setting, you still have to be responsible for the money that you spend. And there have to be certain processes and procedures in place as to how we are most efficiently using the funding that we receive. And in a business setting, it's no different, because it can mean that this project, with improper accounting steps and procedures and processes, it's something that could damage us or put us out of business, or it can be a positive thing that keeps us in the black. Marketing, we almost always think of marketing as being a private company thing, but I know I spent 16 years in a government agency setting in a prior career, and I was always in a situation where I was trying to promote an idea that I thought would be of benefit to the organization that I was with. So there was always a lot of internal marketing of ideas and programs and those kinds of things that we thought would be of benefit, and tried to find ways in which to make those ideas known to others who had more influence than I had, and moving those to the next step. And it's more transparent, of course, in a private company, because you've got our trade show, for instance, and these are private companies who have products and services that they offer, and they're trying to sell it. And they're trying to influence others to purchase their products, their services. Operations management, again, this is a public sector as well as a private sector kind of skill set. And another element that we have within the Emerging Leaders program that allows them to be introduced to operations management. Sales management, again, even if you are in a public agency, you are in a position oftentimes to sell an idea, to sell something that you believe internally will. Now, you're not going to get a commission for it. You might get a pat on the back, but you're not going to get a check out of it. However, selling is not just a private industry activity. Selling an idea, selling a program, selling a concept to the right people is really a signal that we have a person here who's interested enough and has strong enough opinions and has knowledge enough to present new ideas to us that we perhaps hadn't thought of before. And that's part of internal as well as external selling. Communications, we have a separate program, or a separate part of the program just to devote to communications, interpersonal communications, speaking to groups of people, interviewing, evaluations, the use of body language, conflict resolution, and of course writing skills. And so having a communications background myself, I look at this and I see, nothing else works if this doesn't work. Nothing else that we have skills in with regard to our organizational skills or our operations management skills, none of that works unless we're effective in our communications. And a lot of that, and when I say interpersonal communications, that's the kind of thing that you're doing every day up and down the hallway, in the cafeteria, or where you might be, and talking to people, whether it's in a social environment or a work environment. Speaking to groups is one of those things that someone in a leadership role is expected to do, and that may be a group of just 6 or 8 people in the work setting, but you're expected to lead that discussion, that conversation, that presentation, or it might be something where you have 100 people in the room, and you're expected to communicate to that audience what it is your organization is doing, and do that in a clear and effective manner. Project management, taking responsibility for a specific project. Again, that is not a private sector, public sector kind of a thing, as most of the time. When you have a project and you're working with North Carolina DOT, well, there's a project manager that face one another all through that project. They're going to have an external private contractor project manager, you're going to have an internal North Carolina DOT project manager. And those people are going to be essential with regard to the success of that project. I wanted to illustrate the competency model through the Department of Labor. You can find it at careeronestop.org. All you have to do is, again, Google it or whatever in terms of the geospatial competency model, Department of Labor, and this will pop up. And it is interactive. And as you move up the pyramid, these are basic living skills. Then we get into academic skills. Then we get into workforce competencies. And the higher you go on the pyramid, the more detailed and nuanced those skills become. And it's a fantastic way to build a resume because you're using language that folks will have in common with this model. And it is a terrific way to help you write a cover letter with regard to a specific job opportunity. It's also a great way for you to to learn and understand the language of skills and competencies for a personal interview situation where you're able to speak to one another in common terms about what it is you have to offer an organization. So I would encourage you to spend a lot of time with this, interact with this model, and you will probably find as you move up the ladder, you'll find this is kind of where I am right now. This is where I am in my skill development. And that will help you understand whether or not you feel as though you are interested in or prepared for a leadership opportunity if it is presented to you. So spend some time with that. You will not regret it. And can I take some questions? Okay. How many of you are within your first 5 years of your professional experience? You have received a paycheck for 5 years or less. So quite a lot of you. Where do you see yourself at this point? How many years have you been?
I'm finishing my master's now, but I've been working throughout over 40 hours a week, so I have myself around 4 years of experience.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to jump in straight to management position, but in the process of looking at the ladder instead.
Yeah. And you are with a government agency?
So I work for Orange County's Orange Water and Sewer Authority.
Uh-huh.
I also do research for the U.S. Forest Service, and then I'm finishing my master's at Competency State.
Good. All right. I get that question every once in a while. Someone will call and say, I need some advice with regard to my education. I've got a bachelor's degree. I'm thinking of just going straight into a master's degree. And so my question is, for what purpose? Where are you trying? Where do you see yourself beginning your career? Do you see yourself as a GIS technician, specialist, a technical person? Do you see yourself starting in that role? Are you with an educational institution where the master's degree actually means a higher paycheck? And therefore, there is motivation if you are within public education, for instance. The longer you live and the more degrees you have, the more you are paid. What is the reason for not utilizing what you have developed in your bachelor's program? Convince me that there's a reason other than I sure do like to go to school, to go ahead on and get the master's program without having work experience. Because that could come back to haunt you a bit. One of the dilemmas that we have had and that I've experienced frequently are PhDs who apply, and they send their resume to us, and they're applying for what looks as if it's a sort of a mid-level technical position. And I call this person And Dr. Brown, I'm really interested in why a PhD is applying for a $38,000 GIS specialist position. Help me understand that, because I guarantee your resume will not get to first base if I just show what I've got. So I'm going to have to provide an explanation of why you want to do that or why you're willing to do that. And in some cases it is, well, you know, I'm from India. Only way I could stay in the U.S. was to remain a student. If you remain a student long enough, you get a doctorate degree. But I need to have work experience. I need to have practical work experience beyond the laboratory, beyond the coursework. And so I am making myself available for whatever the employer needs from me. And in many cases, I was able to say, you know, that's an explanation I can sell. That's something that I can present and say, you know, if he or she does not receive employment in the U.S. within the next 6 months, they're going to be sent back home because their educational program is completed. Yes?
I'm actually a business major with a minor in that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you bring up business, because that's one of the things that has been consistently brought up over and over and over again was project management, those communication skills, and that's the reason why I went with business first.
Yeah.
How important is that for, I guess, for an undergraduate trying to go to, I guess, government sector or private sector right out of
You know, I've gone to school for a long, long time, and the reason I went to school for a long, long time, and I piled one thing on top of the others, I really enjoyed going to school. I really enjoy learning, still do. And my dad would say, you know, congratulations, why do you need another degree? I said, well, I really enjoy it. He says, it's just going to go to waste. It does not go to waste. The process of learning and developing yourself personally and professionally does not go to waste. And so if you have had some business activity background, that is going to have value to you. Whether you are primarily involved in physics, using your physics technical skills and those skills, or whether you're using your GIS skills. You will learn that you're going to be able to have conversations with people that are highly dependent on your knowledge of business that others would not be able to have. So I think, thumbs up, man. You're doing it. Anybody else? Hey, I really appreciate being invited. I love Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm going to go out and have some sweet tea here pretty soon. And but I really enjoyed having you here. Thank you for participating when we had really tough competition next door. And good luck to you all. That's how we can be reached. By the way, that's my direct line. I don't have a secretary. So you dial 9100 and you're going to get me. So feel free to call. Feel free to email either myself or Jessica or both. We would like to have a continued conversation with you as your career develops and have some fun. Thanks.